wondering, like, how this all came about. How did you two meet? And
we met at a friend's party.
Right.
And we started talking about music. And I basically was teaching children at that time creative dance and ballet, modern. And I was interested in teaching them numbers outside their traditional experience.
Other than 3 and 4?
4/4, 3/4, 2/4. Those particular time signatures, they were well aware of how to dance with.
Right.
But I had worked on a piece with Michael O'Neill in the opening for Artropolis's first contemporary art show.
Right.
And we had collaborated on a piece that was really complex, Bulgarian time signatures, and it was just like all over the map.
Oh, I see.
And that kept me busy working with complex numbers and things for several years. And then in 1991, when Bill and I met, I was interested in finding a way of teaching exercises to dancers, young children, playing with those kinds of time frames. And Bill devised some lesson plans for that. That was the beginning of our experience together. And then I got a job teaching tap,
Right.
which was sort of outrageous because I've never really had a tap class in my life. And Bill was accompanying class, and then we started experimenting with the possibilities of the tap shoe.
Well, what motivated you to get into tap dance?
It was a place where Bill and I sort of met, you know, in terms of it was a vehicle for playing an instrument, which as a dancer I've always wanted to do.
Oh, I see.
But I wasn't trained up in music theory or even I didn't know how to play an instrument. So a tap shoe was a way in for me that way.
Was it hard to make the transition, or?
It was brutal.
Oh, really? At the beginning of the show, we looked at a piece called Commitment. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. The title seems to suggest quite a bit of hard work has gone into productions.
There were several pieces that were developed in the course of my developing the notation system as an exploration, essentially. Commitment, the piece that became called Commitment, was it was a piece of music. I scored it as a piece of music. It wasn't an experiment anymore. I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to manifest in performance.
Right.
I scored the first half of it and gave it to the dancers. It took about, oh God, almost a year to get the first 30 bars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that includes, we're starting from scratch here. That includes them having to get used to sight reading, having to get used to entire new plastiques with the foot and the body, taking them through a training process so they started to be able to count in musician types of terms instead of dancer terms.
Right.
Bill gave us a lot of rudimentary exercises that drummers would do.
Such as?
To train up the
flams, paradiddles, just to name some things that would be common names people would have heard of before.
What does a paradiddle sound like?
Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right.
Oh, okay.
It's a very early, one of the first you learn military snare work. They're all standard drummer's rudiments that a tap dancer, of course, never had before. So when you run something even as simple as a paradiddle going left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, on a tap shoe through 34 striking surfaces on the plane of the foot, there's a lot of permutations you can run through. And I ran them through all of it. Anyway, Commitment, we had Trish, Laura Hutton, and a variety of dancers came through, and most of them sort of worked at it for a while and just found it too hard and left. So it took a while to get the piece up on its feet, and the reason we ended up naming it Commitment was because it was obvious that that's what it took to get this thing completed. And commitment was, it runs a hair over 4 minutes total, and it took 3 years to complete as a piece.
What did you learn from this piece, being the first piece you've done?
I learned I was right.
Did you learn anything from watching your dancers? Like, did you?
Did you, Bill?
The commitment did nothing but it showed me that we were on the right track, our ideas were sound. You can manifest music with a set of tap shoes. I mean, there's no musical accompaniment to this piece. There's 3 parts in the score. It's written for 3 tap dancers. They perform all the music. There is enough tonal variety in a tap shoe that though you don't get true melody, you can get implied melody. You don't get true harmony, you get implied harmony, but you can work with that. And out of that, we actually do manifest a piece of music. Like I say, I found out I was right. It was...
Well, what does that mean to you, like, that you're right? Like, I mean, what?
That when... After we were doing the tap class stuff, and I was off to the side and sort of going, gee, I wonder why they're not doing all these other possibilities that I'm seeing as a developed drummer off in my corner. Right. So I started writing them down notation-wise, and I found that I could. It took a little while to figure that one out, but I can, as complex as I need to go, I haven't found anything in dance that I can't actually notate at this point in time. In doing that, I remember one day, 93, was it 93? Trish came home and I said, this is it, I found it, this is our thing. And I explained the whole, what I'd discovered, what I'd figured out. We took it, we tested it on our tap students, our child tap students.
Right.
And they took to it like a duck to water. This is considering how complex the system is, I can teach it to somebody who's had a minimum of a couple months tap dance. I can teach them to read in 5 minutes. It takes them a while to be able to sight read effectively, but to be able to just look at it and go, oh, I get it, 5 minutes.
Do you identify with the dancer, or do you identify with the musician and the dancer?
Elaborate.
Well, it seems to me that tap dance is a little different than the other traditional forms of dance, ballet, jazz, and modern, because it's more...
It's sonic.
It's more, yeah, it has more of a relation to a musician than it would to just say dance. I mean, there's, like you say, there's implied melody, there's...
Well, tap dancers don't work with that.
Yeah.
We're the first who've actually... There's a lot of people who've tried to notate tap, but they've done it from a very simplistic, very rhythmic oriented, that they've never thought of it beyond rhythm. they've never delved into the resolution of the shoe. Dancers aren't trained. They don't have an ear. Their ear isn't trained up the way a musician is.
Right.
That kind of stuff was.
Yeah.
Hmm?
For the most part. Unless they're dancer musicians.